buildingtheman.com. Make sure you're signed up for the mailing list, physical mail and email. Let us know where you are too, if you can. We do send out newsletters every so often. We don't flood you guys with junk mail or anything like that. What's up, guys? I am live on Trovo, Periscope, D-Live, I assume. Yes, YouTube, Periscope, Twitter. And Twitch connecting shortly, Facebook. Did I say Facebook? And of course, TalkStream Live, the audio player. And JLP Live audio player. What's up, guys? It's 9:02 a.m. U.S. Pacific Daylight Time. And I have a hand-picked song, new group for you. This group is called Vroom. And let's play Sorry Excuse. It's sort of a Christian group. They were Christians. They are Christians. Enjoy this song, and we'll get on started. Nice little rock song for you, kind of. Melodic rock. How's the volume, guys? 1 for great, 2 for too loud, 3 for too quiet. 4 for please mute. Three for too quiet. A little louder, I guess. I don't know. What's up, guys? I can barely hear it. Maybe it's me. Somebody says good volume. Okay. Thank you, Luis. Chris, turn it up. Yeah, please turn it up a little bit more. Oh, but that got loud. That got loud. I will have super chats to read for you guys. This was made by a passionate person. High school student. This is about actually witnessing to non-Christians. Witnessing to non-Christians. This slaps, says Nick. You know, guys, I will be taking your calls, but I have some topics to cover. It is so-called Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Ridiculous. This is great, Hake. Thank you, Stephen Absolution. This is not Blink-182, Colin Barrett. But what's up, Colin Barrett? I have a poem to read to you guys. And I have a passage as well to read a little bit. That's perfect. Thank you. Thank you to Chris for manning the video. This guy is actually singing about a friend of his who wants to go witness to people. You know, like a Christian. Preach, street preach maybe. And this guy doesn't want to go. He wants to watch movies. And he thinks, preaching out there, it turns people away from the truth. At least I think. That's my sorry excuse. A lot of guilt-ridden Christians aren't there. This is from the year 2000, I believe. And Twitter is pushing anti-humanism. Anti-humanism. And there are some, can I say the word stupid? Stupid, evil, hate-filled, blind, brainwashed, angry, anti-white suckers. Did you guys hear about the guy who flashed the 3 fingers and it was called a white supremacist hand gesture by the lynch mob, the dumb lynch mob? And these are people who know a lot of facts. Stop cussing, Hake. It says, because stupid is a cuss word. This song is based. Aw, thank you, Anakin Skywalker. Yeah, this song is epic. Very nice. And I may get to some ridiculous pocket headlines as well, guys. This song isn't too bad, Hake. One of your better choices, says John Rios. Appreciate that. Play some Fog Hat and just pretend it's Christian, says Daryl Wayne. I'm actually not familiar with him. Yeah, this guy, I really like this group. They're called Vroom, put out by Decapolis Records. But he is a guilt-ridden young man, or was. And Sam, over there in the chat, is asking, what's Hake's opinion on all of this Israel-Hamas-Palestine grudge? It's a mess. It is a mess. And I will be getting to your calls as well, guys. How much longer do we have to go? 40 seconds, guys. You can hang. White skateboard music, says Tom New. Yeah, I dig this, says Stephen Will. Thank you. Little Green Day sound, some ugly kid Joe feel. He wants the challenge taken, go light the world. Isn't that the Great Commission? Go into all the earth and preach the good news? I'm not going to read that absolute death. Hake is the king of Little Caesars, says King Drop. Well, guys, very nice. Thank you for bearing with me. It is 9:08 a.m. here in L.A., Los Angeles. Let's get right on with the show.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
Hey, guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
So, how are you all doing? I am fine. I will be getting to your calls, guys. Keith in Illinois wants to talk about the 1619 project, which is an interesting topic. I told you in Hake News about a guy who got relieved of his command in the Space Force. And the Space Force was just established by President Trump, our real President Trump. And it's ridiculous because he was relieved of his command for speaking up against communism, which, from everything I understood, communism is against America. They don't even want America to exist. That's communists. No borders, no walls, no USA at all. That is the Antifa line. Am I right? They're evil. But this guy spoke out against it. But because we have communists, also known as Democrats, in the government, it is now considered political speech. Possibly. Who knows? Very 90s vibe, feels like 1999, says Lin Yenshin. Yeah, that was Vroom, is the name of the band, or was the name of the band. And their song was Sorry Excuse. His sorry excuse for not going out and street preaching, or whatever that his friend wanted him to do. Also, I see Chris kick-flipping evil away. Tell him he is doing well, says Lin Yenshin with the Trovo colorful chat. You can go to trovo.live/The Hake Report. Jesse Lee Peterson trovo.live/Jesse Lee Peterson for Jesse Lee Peterson's thing. And shout out to Asmodor hosting the Hake Report on his Trovo channel. Go follow Asmodor as well. Excellent channel. Cheesehead69 says, normie conservatives are waking up now that all of their favorite YouTubers are endorsing Bruce Jenner. Well, not this favorite YouTuber, if I'm a YouTuber. I'm not endorsing Bruce Jenner. Are we wrong for dead naming Bruce Jenner Bruce? I consider it a sign of respect for Bruce, even though he doesn't respect himself, right? Because it's a sign of a lack of respect for yourself to want to change your name to a woman's name when you're a man, just because you feel like a woman. Yeah. Terrible. But Bruce Jenner is running against Gavin Newsom. Gavin Nuisance. Over here in California, there's some others liberals also running for office. I voted for the governor way back when, who was it who was ousted? Gray Davis or something like that? Maybe Pete Wilson. I can't remember. But somebody, I don't know. Back in the year like 2002, 03 or something like that, we recalled a governor, a Democrat, and replaced him with a so-called Republican, total rhino, coward, weak, physically strong, but spiritually weak, Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I voted for that guy. There was a guy who was actually more conservative, but he was kind of goofy, weak. I mean, you could just tell that he was weak. And I didn't know that Schwarzenegger was going to be that bad. He was a coward. He was kiss up. What a shame. And my illegal friends called him a cabron. Is that a bad word? I think that means bastard. Sorry about that, Spanish speakers. I don't like to say cuss words even in Spanish. But he got called names because he was not particularly that pro-illegal. But he wasn't that strong against the illegals. I like the Terminator. Yeah, stick to acting, Arnold. Because in real life, pretty weak. He even called out against President Trump, our real president. He was just weak, pathetic. Anyway, yes. Oh, I suppose she's head 6'9", that normie conservatives are waking up a little bit. I like normies. You gotta love the normies. That's why I love boomers. Because if you don't love them, how are you gonna help them? Right? If you're just hating them, oh, you dumb, stupid normies. You know what I mean? It's not gonna win any friends or influence people. Was that a communist book, How to Win Friends and Influence People? Was that written by a communist? Is that Carnegie? I don't know. But, yeah. Still, it's about, you still have to love the boomers and the normies. But you also want to be for what's right. Date for today's description says 5/14 instead of 5/17. Says, is that real? Is that true? Oh, indeed it does. My fault, everybody. I wonder if I even updated. Apologies to the people who may be confused by my live stream. It says 5/14 Friday, but it is actually May 17th, Monday. Fired. I'm fired. I shall be replaced by me. Thank you for the heads up, Big Bump. When have I ever let you down? Thank you, Big Bump, for the heads up. Always looking out. So, guys, according to the far-left female-run outlet, before I get to calls, the Skim, it is so-called Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And, of course, Monday morning, they greet you with this thing in their email, this picture. Which is not a picture, it's just a graphic that says, celebrating Asian American and Pacific Islander heritage. And I'm completely mocking it because it's dumb. It's kissing up to people. If I were Asian, I would be offended by this obvious, sick pandering. And but what else can women do but do that? Especially liberal women I'm talking about in particular. Because liberal women run the Skim, far-left female-run outlet, and they interviewed this woman who's the Stop AAPI Hate co-founder on COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act. There's an act called the COVID-19 Hate Crimes. The model minority myth, which a lot of conservatives say point to Asians as model minorities because, one, they do well in school, and two, they don't commit as much crimes, and three, they make more money than whites on the whole, on average. The Asians come in here and just take over. They took over Arcadia, which once used to be white, and now Arcadia is an upscale. Everybody wants to live there or pretend that they live there so that their kids can go to Arcadia High School. That's one of the suburbs just outside of Pasadena, Arcadia. Took over Monterey Park, Montebello maybe, Alhambra, San Gabriel, competing with the Hispanics in El Monte, Temple City, all over the place. Koreatown, they took over Koreatown after the 1965 Immigration Act. Anyway, I guess that would be considered, what would that be considered if I'm speaking this way? People would call that xenophobic. Xenophobic if you're American, xenophobic if you're Biden or British. Anyway, Stop AAPI Hate is an enemy of America group that pretends to stand against hate, but they are pushing hatred. Hatred for Americans. Really. Maybe some of them may fall in, maybe falling for it. Some of them may be falling for it, but no. The pretense is, oh, there's all of these attacks after Trump called it the Chinese virus. Oh no, he called it the China virus because it came from China. Manjusha Kulkarni, Cynthia Choi, and Russell Jung. They created this reporting center. And they're reporting all this data of a bunch of incidences of hate in which most of it's like other, 10% of it is other, some of it is verbal harassment, some of it is discrimination. One of these women is a lecturer at UCLA, and anything from UCLA, in my experience, most of those people are just off the deep end liberal. Will just turn on their friends over any little thing, any little non-politically correct thing. Sick people. Full of hatred, but they want to stop AAPI hate, Asian American Pacific Islander. And they're pretending that these crimes are against Asian Americans. Many of these Asians are not Americans. Just a side note, they're here in America, but they're not Americans. FYI. It's just a matter of fact. So anyway, they're talking about the model minority because Asians do pretty well. And they call that a myth because they're also victims of racism. Some of the Asians I know, the educated ones, are every bit as nasty as any of the black women or whatever. Once you get to know them, it's true. Nasty, nasty people. The educated ones. The less educated, I love them. As President Trump said, because they're more close to common sense. But they too will follow the authorities. They mostly come from like communist countries, seemingly, right? And they fall right in line with the authority and keep your head down, which can be an asset, can be wise, but crazy. And so there is a COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act. That's sick. We should abolish hate crimes. Abolish the prosecution of so-called hate crimes because it's a complete misnomer. UCLA says Matt Mobetta stand-up is Asian American 12-year-olds who grew up watching Miley Cyrus and Jewish lawyers. Yeah, close. It is some of them become so-called Christians, but they tend to be the liberal kind, not the real kind. So, it is crazy. What a terrible mess. And this woman who they're interviewing is called Asian if you're in Britain, but we call them Indian. She looks like she's Indian, like from India. I don't have a picture. Maybe I'll show you a picture of her. It's ridiculous. I'll take a screenshot, and Chris can show you as I move on. Because it's silly. I didn't want to spend a lot of time on this. It's just ridiculous. There, screenshot is in the folder. It's called screenshot. This woman doesn't look that Asian to me. I mean, I know that technically India is in Asia, but usually we're thinking about the Chinese, Japanese, the Thai, the Taiwanese, the others, Malaysians maybe, Indonesians, Filipinos kind of. This woman, that's not an Asian, that's an Indian. Like Indian. Anyway, just a side note. Speaking of side notes, real quick, look at this woman. Come on. That's an educated woman. Full of hatred. Full of hatred. She looks nice. But most of the time when you look nice, doesn't mean anything about the inside. What happened to Charlie Hurt? You guys familiar with... Oh, I call him Charlie Hurt. I think his name is Charles Hurt. Charles Hurt. I saw these pictures of these... Well, I saw on Fox News today. I don't watch a lot of Fox News, but I saw this. I happened to look up. It was on the TV. It isn't actually in Asia, says Lin Yanqin. It's a subcontinent to Asia. Okay. Thank you, Lin Yanqin. It's not the Far East, that's for sure. What were the wise men, by the way? Were the wise men from the Orient? We three kings of Orient? Same thing as the three wise men who came and visited Jesus when he was like 2 years old or so? Were those Chinese or Indians or what were they? Or were they just Russians? Because that's Asia. Isn't Russia in Asia? I don't know. Just a side note. But look at these pictures of these black-eyed people. There's Charles Hurt. He was live on Fox News looking like this. His nose got a nick on it. His cheek on his right side, below his eye, got a nick on it. He has a black eye. And then above his eyebrow, he has a scar thing. What is going on, Charles Hurt? And Charles Hurt, I am familiar with him because I do see his face on Fox News from time to time. And he is or was a contributor to Drudge Report. Huh, and you guys have been talking about Drudge Report. I don't want to make any spurious connections. But it was odd to see him like that. It's always strange. You guys watch movies, and I don't know if you guys watch movies, but when I watch movies, you see a guy with a beat-up face, and he's walking around, and it looks cool. But then when you see it in real life, this doesn't look cool. This looks like he got beat up or bullied or something, or fell. So I don't know what's going on. He's also a Breitbart News contributor and a Drudge Report editor, or was. Washington Times opinion editor. Washington Times is known to be fairly right-wing. His wife must have beat him up. That's speculation, says Fired Up. He ran into Marcus Jones at Popeye, says Evgeny Crosby. These are all just pretend. We're just pretending. But anyway, it reminded me of the pictures of Harry Reid. Remember? Some of you guys may remember Harry Reid, who was a senator, I guess, from Nevada, a Democrat, an imp of a old, evil Democrat politician. Harry Reid he supposedly fell on his treadmill or something, and he got all beat up, and he had a nasty black eye, and he would testify or, speak and lie on the floor of Congress or the Senate or whatever. Here he is in his chair talking. Way back when that happened. But he normally has glasses and a suit and is a sleazy person. He was allegedly pulling shenanigans with China, by the way, or something, around the Bundy Ranch. Remember the Bundy Ranchers? The standoff, the original standoff over in Nevada? This guy might have been behind part of the shenanigans that had to do with taking away of the private land. And there was another guy, John Kerry, who also got a black eye. Many of these people get these black eyes. John Kerry is that wooden guy who lost to George W. Bush or somebody. Was he a vice president? Or was he just like a secretary of state under Obama after Hillary Clinton botched it? And he has a black eye. Some speculate that it is a black eye club, that they are in this club that they have to do something, shenanigans. And, yeah, Freemason type stuff. I don't know. But that's what some people speculate. It certainly looks strange to see grown adult men looking like that. As a kid, it's fine, I guess. I feel like I had a black eye at one point. I remember my brother did. He split his head open. He fell on his skateboard one time. Oh my gosh, his face full of blood. I'd told that story before. Anyway, but that's as kids. That's doing kid stuff. Some kind of conspiracy to it. Anyway, I got to get to Keith in Illinois. Speaking of this pushing of this fake racism thing, this smear upon whites, he wants to talk about the 1619 Project. Keith, how are you doing? It's good to hear from you.
Yeah, always good to talk to you, Hake.
Nice. Are you on a speakerphone? You're sounding kind of far away.
No, just it's just a cell phone, so you never know what you're gonna.
Okay, all right.
Well, I noticed that lady that was talking about the 1619 Project. She never spoke about how 365,000 Union people died to free the slaves. She never bring up the fact that Democrats were the slave owners. I've noticed that they always go around that part. You know what I'm saying? They never, because they work for the Democrats and the liberals, so they're never going to bring that part up. It's like, come on.
Yeah. No, there's a whole lot of stuff that they leave out. And the other thing is that the slavery wasn't racist. It's not racist. Racism is a fake idea. It was they were slaves because they were slaves because they were available.
Right. It had nothing to do with race. It had something to do with business.
Yep.
I mean that's what it don't justify slavery, but I mean the reality of it is it has something to do with business, and they never bring up the fact that the African king sold the slaves to everybody. They never bring that up.
I know, and there's worse things than slavery that they support going on today, way worse than slavery, abortion,
yes, like when I
hear
a white liberal talking, I'm like, but you vote for these Democrats. They keep black people on these plantations murdering each other every day.
Yep.
Okay? In poverty. They have no schools that's worth anything. I looked at Gavin Newsom. He's going to give away $600. You ever notice the Democrats always give away fish, but they never give away fishing poles? You ever notice that about those people?
Yeah, they don't want you to be, they want you dependent. That's why they hamstrung all these small businesses. Very true. They said, you have to close down to save lives. It's such a lie. And you brought up slavery then versus how things are today. That reminds me of what Bundy said, not Ted Bundy. It's not Al Bundy. What's that guy? Cliven Bundy. The great Cliven Bundy of the Bundy Ranch. He said, I've often wondered, were blacks better off back in those times during slavery because they had families. They worked. Yeah. They were Christians. They were happy. Right. They were generally happy people. Rather than with today, they're immoral, no families, no fathers, for the most part, and the fathers who are there are weak, and that includes actually whites and everybody now today, weak fathers. But they're a mess today. So all of this melodrama about how bad slavery was, look at stuff today. You people are miserable and you don't even know it. Anyway.
I mean, it's like, if you look at the Hake and the Tutsi, the Hake killed 1 million Tutsis. These were their neighbors. These were people that looked just like them in the 90s. Yeah. And all because of this one black guy eventually just to rule Tanzania, you know what I'm saying? But they killed 1 million of their neighbors.
That is wild. Brutal. Savage.
Nobody brings this up. I mean, it's like I'm not trying to just throw, black people, my people, whatever, under the bus. I'm talking about, but the reality of it is, you know what I'm saying? How could you throw stones when you live in a glass house? That's just my point. That's all.
And it's not just the culprits. The reason that these 1619 Project type people who smear America and smear whites and keep blacks in anger in a fallen state, the reason those people are winning is because of the weak conservatives, honestly. People who speak up against the 1619 Project, even guys that I really normally like and admire, Sean Hannity, he was having on Cliven Bundy a lot, and he supported Cliven Bundy until Cliven Bundy said that thing about, oh, you know what, slaves were better off. They had families, they were working, or blacks were better off before this civil rights stuff. They were better off, they were working, they weren't on this welfare stuff. They didn't have so much crime and rejection of real Christianity. They pretend to be Christians, but they're not blacks. He said that, and then even Sean Hannity, whom I really like, and who fights against the 1619 Project, he kind of disavowed Cliven Bundy, and so did Glenn Beck and a bunch of conservatives, because they run from the fake thing that, oh, Cliven Bundy said racism was better for blacks than today. They believe in the fake idea of racism. It wasn't racist. It was true what Cliven Bundy said. Cliven is the father of Ammon Bundy. Somebody mentioned Ammon Bundy.
The thing about it is, it's like, you know, they won't take the whole message.
Right.
When somebody explains something, they just take out those little scary little words.
Yep.
And then they crucify people. It's like, you know, it's like, no, I'm just telling you the truth.
The cowards fall in line, though. And I'm not trying to call anybody I admire a coward, but we can't back down. We have to just steamroll shamelessly like they do. They steamroll shamelessly with lies. Let's steamroll shamelessly with the truth.
Right, and I feel the same way. I just do. And you know, and like I said, you know, I wish you and Jesse. I'm gonna let you go after this. I know you gotta go.
No problem.
The black people that murder each other and shoot each other every single day across this nation is an atrocity, but nobody, you know, the certain Democratic black, and it's all ran by black mayors and black police chief and black everything. It's an atrocity to see these people shoot and kill each other every day. I mean, it's like the hate tool and the teachers, basically. I mean, it's just almost that bad because it's such an atrocity, and nobody wants to even bring it up because they really don't care. They have an agenda to use blacks and have blacks kill themselves. So eventually, they'll you know what? And these liberals will turn against blacks. This is what's going to happen in about another 10 years. They're going to say, wow, well, look at the blacks. They're killing each other because they're not going to need them anymore. Okay, they're not going to need them anymore. And they're going to say, wow, well, they kill each other all the time. They're killing all these other people. Maybe we need to find some way to get rid of them. They are going to turn, because, I mean, basically they turned on them anyway. I mean, they're allowing this to happen. So they turned on them anyway. I'm talking about publicly in the media. They are going to turn on black people. Now, remember who told you this, okay?
I will, Keith. Yeah, they are. You know what? People aren't loyal to each other, and you will endlessly see a lot of infighting on our side as well as on their side. On our side, it's really bad because we can't be. We're so weak right now. I mean, the conservative side is so weak right now because most of the conservatives aren't real conservatives, and they will reject you because they have, I guess, the anger and judgment within. It's such a shame.
The anger is definitely makes them blind to what, you know, what's really going on and what's the real, what I call, answer to everything. And so basically, Hake, I just wanted to say that to you. I appreciate you, buddy.
Thank you, man.
And I mean, let everybody else talk. So you take care, buddy.
All right, you too, Keith. Appreciate it. Take care.
Thanks.
You remember my previous guest, Jeff Charles, at Jeff on the Right? He claimed, and I know that they do it, that there is activism against black-on-black crime. It's just not covered in the media. Because these are tiny little activist things. Because the energy is not, oh, let's get together and hate white people stuff. So they don't really have the energy. And the media doesn't have any energy for it because they can't use it to, they don't want blacks to be free. They don't care about blacks. The mainstream media, give me a break. But he says that they're fighting against it, and we do care about black-on-black crime. But then they smear the one man who's telling the truth that can help blacks dig themselves out of that mess, Jesse Lee Peterson. They hate Jesse. Most black conservatives hate him because they're not for what's right. Shameful. I'm chuckling because I got a funny text from somebody. But I cannot share it with you. Maybe one day. Speaking of this fake activism. Just a reminder about about people who are enemies of the people. The extreme left publisher, Dale Carnegie. Thank you, Nick. Dale Carnegie is the guy who wrote How to Win Friends and Influence People. I've never read it. One of my liberal friends recommended it to me. And I guess it was a hint because he didn't like me writing stuff online. I'd never participated or interacted with this friend of mine online, only via text and in person, mostly in person, actually. This was a so-called educated friend. He might have even gone to UCLA, probably went to some UC or other. And basically like a childhood friend. And he's recommended, oh, you should read this book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I didn't really catch on, but, well, I kind of knew. He was hinting at me because he Googled my name and found my tweets, and I tweeted mean stuff, or Facebook posted mean stuff, and, stuff telling the truth, right? And sometimes it would come off a little harsh, because with writing, you can say stuff that's harsh, and it comes out as strange to such and such person or other. It comes out as, oh, you're angry, when I'm not even necessarily angry. I'm just telling plain facts. But you reread it later, like, oh, this sounds kind of harsh. Because it doesn't get across the spirit necessarily. So it just comes out off mean and nasty. But he told me that, and then weeks later he cut me off. And he cut me off because he saw that I tweeted something about, Mexicans are hate-filled and don't care about what's right. And it was in response after a Hispanic, pro-Mexican, anti-American, American successful comedian, this evil guy, who's that guy who said, oh, California, we're taking it back over. He's a very famous, successful comedian, Mexican. George Lopez. Thank you, Chris. George Lopez. He had a TV show. Everybody loved him. He knew how to do this Hispanic accent. Oh, remember this? Remember? He would do all kinds of funny things, and then he turns nasty, turns radical, like many blacks too. And he said, "Oh, this is not America. This is Mexico. We're taking it back." And he's basically mask off, full of hatred. And he said something, it was amidst the Trump situation. I said, "Oh, Mexicans fall for that hatred stuff. They're not for what's right." And so I said that, and generally speaking, I am right. But he said, "That's wrong." Well, a friend of his, very close Mexican friend of his, I think got stabbed to death, maybe by some Mexicans, I don't know. So I don't know what was going on with him, but that may contribute to his emotional state. Speaking of passions, remember the passionate music I just played from Vroom? He only stole his jokes. Says Papa in Bear. Anyway, nasty people. And I'm not allowed to say something true because I'm white, something like that. So anyway, that guy, he cut me off. But anyway, extreme left publisher Twitter is celebrating, this is a mouthful, and spit it right out, International Day Against Homophobia. Biphobia, didn't know that existed. Interphobia, didn't know that existed. Most people don't even know that intersex exists. And transphobia. International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia, Interphobia, and Transphobia. And I guess that's today. And all the evil people, including the far left publisher, it's not a platform, it's a publisher, enemy of America, Twitter, was promoting it. I guess this was last night no, it's today. It's a social cause. And it doesn't really have that many retweets, honestly. May 17th org tweeted this out. Today is International Day Against all that junk that I told you. I support equal rights for all and an end to discrimination. Well, that's dumb because discrimination is a basic right of all people. If there's any such thing as human rights, discrimination is one of those rights. Just FYI. IDAHoBIT is what it looks like when you abbreviate it to just the acronym. But I don't think it's supposed to be an acronym. International Day, ID, against a homophobia, but they put an O in it. The O doesn't even belong there. Ridiculous. IDAHoBIT. Poor Idaho, huh? The state of Idaho got the name of their state in this ridiculous international fake holiday. And look at all the organizations and people. In Canada, you have a lot of enemies of humanity in Canada, guys. And then I will get back to calls. Just go through it and I'll kind of read them off. I'll bounce off of what you show, Chris. I'm gonna have him just show this like a slideshow because there's a ton of these. And it's easier to just follow what he does. Justin Trudeau, the enemy of Canada and Western civilization. He's a proud feminist along with his wife. He has 2 daughters. Homophobia, transphobia, biphobia have no place in our country. That's true today and on international blah, blah, blah. And every day. It's up to each and every one of us to make sure everyone can live freely and openly, regardless of who they love or how they identify. Meaning they don't actually love anyone. And Justin doesn't love anybody. And if you can have a delusion, they have to support your delusion. Sick. What a sicko. Department of State, the State Department, the United States State Department is pushing this, and they show a picture from the Obama White House that was flashed in rainbows, in rainbow coloring. The United States will work with governments around the globe, globalist, and civil society, it's not civil, advocates to advance the so-called human rights, which is a misnomer, it's a communist buzzword, of LGBTQI plus persons. Sick. Shameful. Even this Premier Rugby is like a cross between football and soccer. Actually, only you guys know. Today is International Day against blah, blah, blah. Homophobia, biphobia, transphobia. What about the interphobia? They forgot that one. We are proud of our rainbow laces. They tied their shoes with rainbow laces. And then this whatever, umpire, showed has a rainbow flag. What? To promote LGBT inclusion in sport and celebrate diversity. Sick. So there go your sports. Jim Watson is the mayor of, how do I pronounce this? Ottawa? Ottawa? Ottawa. I want to say Ottawa. Thank you, Nick. And Chris. They know. Sensible public policies. Yeah, nothing sensible about that. But they're pretending that, these people are catching all this hate, and hate is wrong, right? Everybody's against hate, but they're hating them by promoting this stuff. Look at this gross flag. This flag is a symbol of the homosexuality and transgender myths, and also black and brown. Black and brown. How does that feel, blacks and browns? And UN Women, United Nations Women, promoting this too, and they have a GIF or a GIF? I call it GIF, but some of you guys call it GIF. That shows a bunch of women. I'm not showing the GIF or GIF, but there's women and women, or females, or actually there's a dude there too. But anyway, fighting against inequality, enemies of humanity, communists, globalist socialists, against Christians, against whites, against blacks, honestly, against the gays too, because this is not good for the gays to be all into this stuff. I don't know what this building is, but that's promoted by the CNN. CNN, what, France? Tower? CNN Tower? They flashed it with rainbow lights. Oh, the CN Tower. Oh, it's not CNN, it's CN. Cartoon Network? La Tour Tower. It's not Cartoon Network, is it? I'm just ignorant. I don't know. Terrible. But Oh, also there's pink news. The Ugandan, there's a president of Uganda. They've been attacking the rights of Africans to protect themselves from such horrific things as AIDS, HIV. They've had major problems with the STDs over there. And so they outlawed like homosexuality because that is one of the prime contributors to that STD, which is a sexually transmitted disease. Some people call it STI now. They use STI now because they don't want to call it a disease. They call it an infection now. But the Ugandan president, fake president, is that a president? I don't know who that is. It's a black guy. And he's old, so he should know better. Old usually used to mean wise, but not this time. This LGBTQ activist, unless I'm mistaking this person for somebody else, is urging the world to speak out against brutal homophobic regime in Uganda. Evil thrives when good people keep quiet. And I'll give you an example of that, but that's what evil is thriving because the loud evil people are staying loud and the decent people are keeping quiet. That was from Pink News. And then lastly, I don't know if you showed this UN Free and Equal, the very last one, I think. The Secretary General, Antonio Guterres. And no, it's not Gutierrez, because there's no I in it. Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations. Let us work together for an inclusive world, communist, globalist communist, where everyone can live free and equal in dignity and rights, no matter who they are, where they live, or whom they love. Hashtag only together. United Nations stands for the human dignity and rights of everyone, not including LGBTIQ plus people. You notice that they switched it from LGBTQIA to LGBTIQ to make them sound smarter. Plus people. But actually, intersex people are more important than queers. Right? Because intersex, isn't that an actual like hermaphrodite type thing? Just a side note. And behind this guy, it says, achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. Ensure access to water and sanitation and stuff like that. Those are what banners say behind this guy who's pretending to be a noble guy. Antonio Guterres. I forget where he's from originally. Argentina, maybe? A sick person. Blind, brainwashed. Wolves in sheep's clothing. That's what these people are. They pretend to be nice. But that's evil. Pure evil. United with Satan, says white man. Yeah, I agree. Very true. The alphabet people, says Susan Steffens. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, hermaphroditism is intersex. Yeah, Chris says there's literally no person against people having clean water. Yeah, it's just treat your water so that you don't let the pipes corrode into your water. Duh. I'm looking at you, Flint. Manage yourselves right. You get it. You get what you deserve, right? What a mess. It stands for Graphic Interchange Format. So it's GIF, not GIF, says Asmodor. All right. Chris says, I'm literally as far right as it goes, and I'm not against clean water. All right, I guess. Anyway, it is warm in here. I need the AC on. Nick, can you turn on the AC? Can you open the vent? I've been running a lot of hot air. Let me get to Russ in Hampton, Virginia for more hot air, but over the digital sounds, it won't heat up this room too much, hopefully. Russ in Hampton, Virginia, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right, man.
Nice. Gracias. That means thanks in Spanish. So what's up?
Yeah. I'm very curious about something. The people around Jesse, like, you know, yourself and like Nick and all those guys that work with him, you guys act like when Jesse speaks, that's the end-all, be-all truth. Like, why is that?
That's your imagination.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's
Yes,
not.
it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
You just said something earlier about him speaking truth. You always talk about
Because he does speak the truth.
Somebody that speaks truth. Why is whatever Jesse Lee Peterson thinks is the truth is the truth? Because he's wrong about a lot of things.
Name one thing he's wrong about.
He told me the reason why I feel the way I feel about Christianity. He told me how I feel and why I feel that way, and it was impossible what he said. So
How is it?
a lie.
What did he tell you?
He told me it was because my grandfather was a preacher, and he preached one thing and lived another. That's what he said.
Interesting.
And I
Don't
said
most people
no.
do that?
I wasn't talking about most people. I was talking about myself.
Yeah, I know, but he mentioned your grandfather or something like that. Preached one thing and lived another.
Yes, that's what he said, and he said that's why I have the opinion that I have about Christianity.
He's probably right.
It was impossible for him to be right because my grandfather died before I was born.
I know,
So
but that doesn't mean the way he lived didn't affect the way he lived affected your parents.
How could the way he lived affect my opinion about Christianity if I never met the
I'll
man?
explain it. The sins of the fathers reach down to the generations and have major effects.
That doesn't prove nothing.
Yes, it does.
That doesn't prove.
Yes, it
that
does.
does not prove anything.
Yes, it does. Your parents were affected by your grandfather. Fact, Jack. Thank you.
You finished now?
Thank you.
Finished now?
Thank you.
That's once again, you're going to suck up and believe and defend Jesse Lee Peterson.
Because I'm not going to believe you. You're a sucker.
I'm not asking you to believe me. I'm a what?
Sucker.
Yeah, you say that on the radio, but you won't say that on the phone when you won't say that to my face.
But it's true. The point is, it's true.
It's not true. That's your opinion.
Yes, it is. It's a fact. You are a sucker.
How's it a fact?
Everybody knows you're a sucker.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And it's something else, too, but I'm not going to repeat that.
You can go ahead and repeat it.
No, I'm not going to repeat it. No, I'm not going to repeat it. But 17 ways to win on D Live said it, and he's right.
I can care less for 17 ways to win said on D Live.
Then how come you trying to get me to say it?
Because you might as well. Why wouldn't you?
Because
Are you scared?
Because I don't cuss on air. And to me, the B word is a bit of a cuss word. So.
Say what?
To me, the B word is kind of like a cuss word, so I don't say it.
Yeah, okay. And he would say, he has.
Here we go with the threat of violence. The usual suspects points out. Yeah, why are blacks always resorting to violence when they get insulted? Sickos.
Let me tell you
That's
something.
you. That's you because you said you wouldn't say that to my face.
No, I'm about to tell you. I'm about to tell you.
All right.
I'm about to tell you. Yes, I can be as violent as you've ever seen, ever.
You know why?
Now, do I?
You know why?
No. But can I? Yes, I can.
You don't know why you're violent.
You don't know why.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Go ahead. Go ahead, because you know everything. But go ahead.
If you don't know, then I'm not going to tell you.
No, you don't know.
Anyway.
But go ahead. No, go ahead, share it.
Why are you getting all trying to get in my face?
I'm not in your face. If I was in your face, I'd be in your face. I'm not trying to get in your face.
Why are you talking
go
tough?
Ahead. Don't stop.
Why are you talking tough? What's your point?
I'm not talking tough, Chief. I am tough.
Okay.
But go ahead. Say what you're going to say. Don't stop.
I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah, I know you're not.
If I wanted to say something, I would say it.
Right, because you're on the radio and you're on the internet and you're not 5 feet in front of my face. That's why you're not going to say it. Exactly, because I told you I can be.
Because you are an angry person.
As you've ever seen.
I know. Because you're an angry person.
Isn't anger an emotion? Weren't we not born with anger?
Nope.
Prove that.
You prove it.
You're making the claim. I'm not making the claim.
You're the one making the claim. You're making the claim.
I know.
You said, aren't we born with anger?
I asked you a question. You said no.
Right. You're pretending that it's a good thing to have.
I did not say
When it
that.
leads to all
I did
kinds
not
of
say
violence.
anything about being
And you're
good.
black, right? You're black?
What does it
Are you
matter what
black?
I am?
Are you black?
What you're uniting
black?
the races with truth, right?
Yes.
So what does it not
Are you
dividing
black?
them with lies?
Russ.
So what does you always say?
Are you black?
always
Russ.
say it doesn't matter about the race. So you
Are you
tell
black?
me.
Are you black?
I am what I am.
Yeah.
I am.
That means
you
black.
tell me.
That means black.
Okay.
And you're pretending to care about blacks and hating Jesse over
I'm not
telling the
pretending
truth.
to care about nobody. I never said anything about caring about nobody.
I know you don't care. And
I don't care about you.
anyway,
That's true.
I know. You don't care about anybody. You're a mess.
Yeah, but that wasn't a question. That was a statement. So, what you say is what you say. I don't care what you say.
If
So
you don't
you didn't
care
ask
what
me a
you say,
question
what I
first.
say, then why are you calling me about it? You're pretending.
Because
you're pretending.
No.
That
I'm not pretending to be anything.
we just blindly believe Jesse Lee Peterson
No,
when we
you
can
do, 'cause
see
you're
that
an
he's
idiot.
right. We can see that he's right.
No, because you're blind and stupid.
Okay.
That's why.
Thank you.
That's why you think that.
You proved it.
Just like people thought Jim Jones was true and followed him and killed themselves. Yeah, you're blind and stupid. But that's fine.
So
That's
Noah's
you. You
Ark,
can be
Kansas.
stupid.
Noah's Ark, Kansas wants to explain it to you. Noah's Ark, Kansas gave a super chat on trovo.live/The Hake Report. He says, Russ, anger is an emotion, and all men who are emotional are women. Cash me outside.
but
How about
prove
that?
it. Prove
He said,
it.
No, you didn't let me
Prove
finish.
it.
You didn't let him finish. He said, cash me outside. How about that?
Yeah, he doesn't want that. But prove it.
How do you know what he
Prove
doesn't
it.
want?
Because I know what I do to him. So prove it. Prove what
Oh,
you said.
gosh.
That's all I'm
Isn't
saying.
your health kind of
You're
failing, Russ?
You're making all these claims.
Isn't your health kind of failing, Russ? How do you know that
You
you
don't
can
need to
take?
work.
How do you know that
don't-
you can
you don't-
take Noah's Ark, Kansas? Since you're
You don't
since you're
need
going
to-
on this
you don't need-
silly tangent about
You don't-
you
you
wouldn't
don't
say
need
that to
to
my
worry about
face.
my health.
Since you're acting
You
so
don't
tough,
need to worry about
how
my
do you
health.
know that you can take Noah's Ark, Kansas?
Why can't you prove anything of the stuff that you say? That's all I'm saying.
I don't
Why
have to
can't you
prove it because you're blind.
Back up what you say.
You're blind. That's why I can't prove it to you. You're blind.
I am legally blind. To
No,
be
you're
honest with you, I
spiritually
am legally
blind.
blind.
You're worse than legally
I'm,
blind.
No,
You're spiritually
no,
blind.
I'm legally blind.
No, you're
I'm
spiritually
legally
blind. No, you're spiritually blind.
Yeah, okay. All right. Because if I don't fall into what you think is right, then I'm
Also,
wrong.
Russ, one last point, and then I got to go. The weakest thing ever is to say it to my face when you're on the internet.
No, the weakest thing is to talk trash when you're on the internet. 'Cause you're
No,
internet
that's
monkey.
what you're doing.
And you knew,
That's what you're
and
doing.
You knew if I was in California,
Are
in
you
front of
not
your
talking
face, you wouldn't
trash?
say all that.
Are you not talking trash, Russ?
I can back up what I talk.
Okay, thank you. Interesting comment.
And I didn't take the conversation that way. I simply
Yes, you
asked
did. Yes, you did.
I did not.
Yes, you
I
did.
simply asked you to back up the stuff that you were saying. That's all. That's all I
Asmodor says
said.
Russ is a little girl.
Yeah, I wasn't a little girl when I was with his mama. Now, how about that?
Blacks are very entertaining. That's true. Thank you, Russ. Nice to hear from you.
Yeah, girl said.
Hope you got your- Hope you got your answer.
Yourself.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I did. You just backed up what I was thinking that you.
And you backed up what we're thinking, too.
Yeah, because y'all a bunch of idiots. So
Yeah. Okay.
That's fine.
All right. Take care, man. Nice talking with
Blind
you.
followers.
All right. Yeah.
Blind followers.
All right.
Stay blind.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Bye. Bye, Cupcake, says Trump Support 2021. So I will be reading your super chats, guys, and I have some callers to get to. Streamlabs.com/The Hake Report and all that mess. I have one more track to get to. Another song from Vroom. Vroom is the group of the week, I'm thinking. Vroom. Vroom. And this track is called 25 Years. It's a sad song. It's about divorce. And I think it may tell you what, if it has anything to do with this singer's story, it may tell you why he's in this emotional state that he was in when he wrote this music. So enjoy 25 Years by Vroom. And I'll be right back in 2 or 3 minutes, guys. Hang tight for the rest of hour 2.
this failure long ago would never be forgot. The differences would continue to drive them apart. The mother could not forgive him. The father acted unrepentant. It wasn't long before they did go their separate ways. The child found himself in another stuff it all. He didn't know on whom to go. And all the while, he's forced to keep forcing a smile. But deep inside, his agony can't be denied. When the paperwork was finished, he knew it was true. Nevermore would Mom and Dad exchange their I love yous. All he hoped for was a day when he would wake up from this factory and his parents would both love each other once again. The child found himself in the midst of it all. He didn't know on who to go. And all the while, he's forced to keep forcing a smile. But deep inside, his agony can't be denied. He said to them, please do not go. I won't survive my youth alone. I need a mom, I need a dad, I need a family. A family in the hand, look for a shadow. In the hand, look for a sun. His name won't be erased, can't be undone.
Divorce rocks, says Ian Davidson. Wow. Hake, stop playing Dollar Tree music, says mean, nasty Colin Barrett. Fallout Boy, says John Spartan. No, this predates Fallout Boy, I want to say, but I'm not sure. This music is free from copyright. Wow. Beta Tune says forgive your mama. Yeah, I suppose so. I think he was speaking from experience. I'm not sure. Maybe he was 25 years old when he wrote that. I'm not, or something. I need a mom and dad, says Penny Roo. Yes. Green Day, says Ragtag Army. Is this considered emo? I don't think it's considered emo. Dude, stop calling it emo, you people. I only ever listen to ska. No, I always only ever listen to hardcore. This is some emo stuff, says Carol D. It's not. Emo is just more technical punk, right? This is more like melodic rock. I don't know. Anyway, guys. Actually, you want to educate us on what emo is? Do you happen to know?
Emo means emotional.
Right.
And yeah, it's just.
It started out as more technical punk, though, right? And hardcore.
Well, emo. So there was punk, and then kind of alternative and rock.
Yeah.
And they started to combine those elements, but then they just added the whinier.
Okay.
The whinier sounding vocals, just really emotional, like very.
That's the early 2000s emo, though, right?
Well, emo sort of came out of the early 90s.
Yeah.
Like I say, there was the punk scene in the 80s, and the alt sound, the grunge sound.
Yeah.
It started to really just everything became more emotional. The new wave music, that everything was getting very, very emotional.
Right. Yeah, true.
and it just kind of culminated in
Anger with the punks.
Yeah. Well, that sort
hardcore.
of the anger sort of turned into sadness.
Oh yeah.
And so, like I say, you combine all the elements of, you kind of make the punk a little bit softer,
Right.
add the alt scene, the grunge scene, and like I said, the new wave of kind of like, relationships and crying over this and that.
Yeah.
Whereas in the past, it was a little more not so on the nose about, I'm crying about a woman. It's kind of, a little more, there might have been a sad tone or something like that, but it's not so
Yeah.
directly like, my girlfriend broke up with me, and like, I'm crying about that. And
Was Rites of Spring considered emo, or a precursor to emo? Rites of Spring from DC, that DC post-hardcore
I'm not familiar
punk rock
with them.
from the 80s, mid-80s. I don't know. Maybe they led to that.
Possibly. Yeah.
But then I think it changed because it became more mainstream, and then people, when they think of emo, they think of like sad, whiny stuff.
Yeah, and like I said, it really came out of the 80s and the 90s. But I think when it became very mainstream was like that's what everyone thinks emo is, like the mainstream version of it.
Yeah.
The
What's like a band from that?
The My Chemical Romance
Okay.
or Fall Out Boy.
Oh, okay.
I never really listened to the old school emo,
Yeah.
like that alt stuff, so I can't really think of a band name
Right.
off the top of my head.
Somebody said Smashing Pumpkins fans. Oh, remember something Infinite Sadness? Wasn't that a Smashing Pumpkins album? Something
Melancholy
Infinite.
and the Infinite Sadness.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said.
That's not emo, but that's something
No, they're
else.
not an emo band. They're a grunge alternative rock band. But like I said, it all kind of
Emotional stuff.
they were all in the same kind of realm.
Terrible.
Kind of in
Yeah.
the same realm. Kind of there was especially in the Midwest, that the original emo definitely was like the Midwest sound.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like the Midwest sound. Like, I mean, Smashing Pumpkins, I'm pretty sure they're from Illinois, I think.
Okay.
But that whole that Midwest area was that's like the OG emo sound. And then when it became popular, that's when like LA and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's usually how music works. It starts in its organic form in the hometown,
Right.
and then it goes to LA or New York or something.
Yeah. All right. Very nice. Thank you for the education. To Chris, White Chris, Skateboard White Chris. I don't think of music when I hear emo. I think of the way they dress, says John Spartan. Yeah, that's true. Anyway, guys, some super chats to read. Justice S gave a super chat on streamlabs.com/the Hake Report and said, "Good morning, Hake, Chat, and Russ. JLP got the best Kool-Aid this side of heaven. Much love, Justice S." And that's a reference playing off of Russ accusing Jesse of giving Kool-Aid to his cult followers. Give me a break. And so Justice says, yeah, it's the best Kool-Aid this side of heaven. And it is not laced with poison. It's laced with pure, beautiful truth. Nice. Some little ethnic child says, quote unquote, sensible policy, which is a reference to what Antonio Guterres of the United Nations Secretary General, and common sense gun laws. It just makes so much sense, Hake. Thank you, some little ethnic child. That's true. They pretend to be about age-appropriate sex education. Give me a break. They're pushing lies and evil on the kids, and they're taking away the guns, and they want to pretend that wrong is right and right is wrong, and that telling the truth is homophobic. What a shame. Or interphobic. Whoever even heard of interphobia? Give me a break. Jib Jab says, turn on the AC, Nick. He's done it. Thank you. And Jib Jab also says, y'all like it jungle hot in here. And get the phones. Oh, and somebody tell Russ to take his low IQ and go sit down somewhere. Yeah, it's true. Sixto Rewhited gave a super chat and said, here's my coin in the machine for the week. Appreciate that, Sixto Rewhited. The snake pit groweth. Mind your words, Hake. They are moving to silence you with more purpose and drive than ever before. The more popular you become, the more attention you will get. Exercise extreme caution. Appreciate that, Sixto Rewhited. Thank you for the warning and the heads up. Very nice. And so, guys, before I get back to calls, I'm getting to BC in New Jersey next. But I just wanted to tell you a quick story. Somebody sent me a poem. A friend of mine sent me a poem. And it is a Christian poem. Or I don't know if it's a Christian poem. I think of it as being sort of Christian. It was from Rilke's, and apologies if I'm butchering the name, Rilke, Rilke. But it's I guess a German name. German, I think. Bohemian Austrian name. Rilke's Book of Hours. And I don't like the subtitle, but it says Love Poems to God. Ugh. A little bit of a cringe thing, but okay. It was translated by a couple of women. Anita Barrows and Joanna Macy. But inside of this book is a poem. I guess this poem's title is written in German because Austrians speak Deutsch, and they're very resentful of that fact, I hear. Ich bin auf der Welt zu alien und doch nicht alien genug. And I probably butchered that, but that is German for something. And the poem reads, listen to this. It's a nice poem. I like it, actually. I am too alone in the world, yet not alone enough to make each hour holy. It reminds me of Vroom, actually. Vroom, the passionate band that I just played, how he feels guilty about not going with his friend to go minister. He'd rather go watch movies 10. I'm too small in the world, yet not small enough to be simply in your presence, like a thing just as it is. Meaning he's beating himself up for not being humble enough. I want to know my own will and to move with it, and I want, in the hushed moments when the nameless draws near, to be among the wise ones, or alone. I want to mirror in your immensity. Talking to God, right? I want to never be too weak or too old to bear the heavy, lurching image of you. Meaning, be the image of God, right? I want to unfold, let no place in me hold itself closed, for where I am closed, I am false. I want to stay clear in your sight. That's a nice poem, right? And so I looked up, who could have written this poem? Because I looked at the cover of the book, and the cover of the book says, Rilke's, and Rilke is Rainer Maria Rilke. So I'm like, I feel like there was a male named Maria in the past. There was a very famous open letter that was written by a living man, one of whose middle names was Maria. So it could be a man named Maria. And indeed, it is this man, Rainer Maria Rilke, or was. He was born in 1875, died in 1926, at the mere age of 51 years old. I think he had leukemia. What a shame. That's like blood cancer, right? And his real name is actually, you can show pictures of him as an old guy, but I'll get to him as a young kid. René Karl Wilhelm Johann Joseph Maria Rilke. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 names? Man, that is old school. Here he is like a 25-year-old. Looks like one of you guys, probably. Almost looks like White Chris. Not quite. Looks a little bit like Jaden McNeil, am I right? Happy birthday, Jaden McNeil. I hear that it's Jaden McNeil's birthday. That's that friend of ours, friend of yours. Follow him. I think he's probably on Trovo. I'm not sure. I hear it's his birthday. But anyway, Skateboard White Chris says he's probably related to this guy. Yeah, but this guy was a poet, a writer. He traveled a lot through Europe. Actually, he met a ton of very famous people who I consider famous today. Like, because I studied art with an emphasis in graphic design, but I studied art. But anyway, look at this kid as a 3-year-old. I think he was about 3 years old in this picture. He was born in Prague, the capital Bohemia, I guess, which was part of Austria-Hungary. His childhood youth in Prague was not especially happy. His father was a railway official after a failed military career, but worse than that, I don't know if that's even bad, right? His mother, Sophie, or Fia, Entz, came from a well-to-do family, and she dressed him like this, according to Wikipedia. Look at this picture. And if you're listening to the audio feed, I'm going to describe this picture. It's a black and white photo of a little kid. It looks like a girl because of the way that this boy is dressed. Looks like cowboy boots, but this is before cowboys, I guess. With a little dog and like a book or something. And it looks like a frilly dress and tights. And I don't know what the style was back then in Europe where he grew up. But the relationship, according to Wikipedia, is dressed in like a frilly dress. With like what year is this? This would have been 1878 or 1879. And the style does change, right, in Europe, but this is not right. This is not how a boy would have been dressed, I don't think. And listen to this. Let me explain it. This is from Wikipedia. His mother, Sophie, Fia. The relationship between Fia and her only son was colored by her mourning, meaning grieving, for an earlier child, a daughter who had only died 1 week old. During Rilke's early years, Fia acted as if she sought to recover the lost girl through the boy by treating him as if he were a girl. According to Rilke, he had to wear fine clothes and was a plaything for his mother like a big doll. His parents' marriage, speaking of divorce, failed in 1884. Let's see, he was born in 75. They divorced in 84. Man, divorce even back then? And when he was like 9 years old? French Revolution type stuff. Crazy mom, says Chris. Yeah. He was expelled from school, all kinds of different things. He was poetically and artistically talented, which is usually like emotional, right? Mess. But he traveled. He fell in love with this woman called Lou Andreas Salome, who was 14 years older than him. According to Wikipedia, he met and fell in love with the widely traveled intellectual woman of letters. And she got him to change his name from René to Rainer. Rainer sounds more German and masculine and forceful and Germanic. I don't know, but that seems like insecurity. He's listening to the woman. An older woman. And she was married, by the way, and he traveled with her and her husband, too. Weird. Yikes. And then he married a different woman later who was like, younger than him, a little younger than him. But they divorced too. And what's weird, too, is that he married her. They made a baby, a daughter, of course, right? She must have been stressed. And he went off somewhere, and then she went off to be with him. Oh, they tried to divorce, but because he was Catholic, a non-practicing Catholic, there were troubles. Like, he couldn't really make it happen because he still believed somewhat in God. Like, he wrote this book of so-called love poems to God. I wonder if he really called them love poems to God. But that's strange, huh? Messed up families even back then. What a shame. Terrible shame. The French Revolution was the original sexual revolution. Yeah, that's true. I think I remember that. The Baroque, was it the Baroque mess and the all that mess. Terrible. But he met a lot of famous people. And he had portraits made of him, and he wrote famous things. Messed up families since 3000 BC, says Daryl Wayne. Yeah, I suppose that's true, huh? Very true. 47%? According to Ragtag Army, 47% of America have German descent. He was Antifa, says Jose Diaz. Anyway, BC in New Jersey. He's been on hold for some time. I got to get to him. BC, thanks for holding. How are you doing?
Good. What's going on, Hake?
Hey. Not much.
Yeah, I'm just on break at work, but I heard that last caller, so I kind of inspired a question.
Okay.
So what do you think about? So that guy was obviously pretty angry. I mean, you could just kind of tell,
Right.
from the way he talked.
Yeah.
And you kind of hit the nail on the head with, like, you know, you picked out exactly where he was coming from just based on the way he was talking and the smarmy questioning and
Yeah.
like, and we could also identify like a bit more about him, you know, based on the attitudes. Why do you think anger and other emotions like that are so different among different groups in America or anywhere, but particularly anger?
What do you mean? What do you mean anger is different among different groups?
Like, this was a disagreement about whether or not JLP was speaking the truth or not.
Right.
And he goes right to, I want to fight you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, well, I noticed that people of other groups maybe wouldn't go that far. I don't know. But, like, just the general comments on how anger portrays itself among different people, individuals too, but also different groups. Like,
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on it?
It is definitely in the culture to promote and be angry and passionate amongst blacks. And that guy is more of an intellectual, so he may be kind of compensating for being a little bit more on the nerdy side and trying to act extra tough in that way. But it is definitely like they treat each other that way too, and they treat everybody that way. So I think that in that sense, anger has been promoted and not discouraged. Whereas with whites, if you're openly angry, you're more likely to go to jail or be subdued or shut down. And so whites are more encouraged to be play along and be nice, or be quiet and more at least more civilized, or act more civilized. So there's that for sure. Blacks are given a pass, whereas whites are falsely accused of stuff that's not even true. You know what I mean? And it's both are a total disservice to both groups of people. It's not good to be giving people a pass for being angry, but it's also not good to unfairly quelch people from expressing themselves honestly. You know what I mean? So it is definitely a phenomenon, a cultural phenomenon from the outside, and maybe too from like the families themselves. Definitely the families too themselves, by far.
I think that's where a lot of it comes from. Is either family or lack of family structure is where these things come from. Because like even back in the day, it wasn't like it is now within that community. And back in the day, whites were not as, like, you know, soft
they weren't as
we are
scared.
now.
Yeah, and soft. Weak. For sure.
Yeah.
Interesting, man.
Also, do you know Darren J. Beatty?
Yeah. He said that JLP should be in the Trump administration.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I think he's a Jewish guy who's on Twitter, and I think he's behind Revolver.news. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, what about him?
Oh yeah, no, he's just awesome. But I knew that there was a link between him. First of all, he's just awesome.
Yeah.
Like his content on Twitter is really good. The Revolver's really good. He gives really good analysis. But it's just cool to see like cool connections between. Like yeah, like he totally supports you guys.
Yeah, I don't think that we've ever talked with him. Maybe we should have him on the show or something. I don't know, but yeah, he's an interesting guy.
Guest.
Yeah,
he's a great guest to have on. He's been on Tucker and he's been on other people, but he's a great guest to have on to talk about what's really going on. But one thing, his Twitter is just full of great stuff, and he talked about how meritocracy in America is basically, it's not only over, but they're trying to remove it. And one way that they're doing that is by getting rid of the SAT.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed this.
Yeah, I talked about that. I mentioned that in Hake News. I don't know if you caught that at the end of hour 2.
Oh, I missed that. Okay, all right.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. The UC systems, University of California systems, are no longer going to consider SAT scores, which has been like ever since before I was born, I want to say. They've been using SAT scores to allow people into their schools and ACT scores for admissions because it's racist. They were sued over it, but they're part of the UC systems. That they're a bunch of liberals themselves. So it's liberals suing worse liberals, really communists suing communists, because I think the whole UC system should be shut down. It's doing more harm than good, and that's been that way probably for years. I would just got through talking about UCLA, and it's ridiculous. So.
Oh wow! All right, so you're well aware of that, but yeah, the UC system is like that lawsuit is basically one set of lefties moving money to another set, but only to hurt us.
That is so true.
The UC system is one of the biggest donors to left-wing political candidates as well. If you look at AOC's top donors, it's a bunch of big tech like Microsoft, Google, Facebook, and then it's the University of California.
You serious? Wow.
Yeah, swear to God.
According to the Superior Court of California, according to the Epic Times, the Superior Court of California, Alameda Division or District, whatever, at the end of August of 2020, the 31st, a judge ordered them, the UC system, to stop using the decades-long mainstay, these SAT scores, right? And the UC system will pay, you just mentioned money, $1.25 million in attorney fees to the lawyers for these organizations that called the tests racist, these standardized tests racist. And the lawyers are representing Chinese for Affirmative Action, a group called Chinese for Affirmative Action, College Access Plan, College Seekers, Community Coalition, Dolores Huerta Foundation, Little Manila Rising, and the Compton Unified School District. Wow. It's ridiculous, huh?
Yeah, and that standardized test is one of the only ways in which poor whites in America get out of the working class, because if they perform well academically, they can get into the upper schools.
Yeah.
But if you take that away, they're just going to be judged for being another white kid. It doesn't matter that they're poor. It doesn't matter that they're middle class.
Well,
they're just going to be another white kid, so they're not going to be able to get out of it.
The good thing is that these schools are worth less and less as the time goes on. These schools are not really resulting in graduating doesn't get you a job. There's a whole lot of people with degrees and no job is what I've heard for years now, you know? And they're being taught horrific stuff anyway, including even people who become doctors and scientists.
Oh, yeah.
They're getting taught all kinds of madness that many of them just swallow. So maybe it's all for the better anyway, that people abandon these schools regardless.
Well, but that's the thing. Us abandoning them won't do anything because they're basically part of the state. Like the state will subsidize them to keep them alive.
Yeah.
They're like another wing of the state. It's just money funneling.
But as more people abandon them, more people will get closer to the truth if their goal is truth.
True.
And they'll start to vote out this madness. Maybe we can I think that we can take back California. Or there's no proof that we can't. There's no reason to write it off. It's not over. We're still here. We out here.
That's right. We out here, Hake. All right. I'll let you get to the next caller.
Thanks, BC.
You always go on and on. I'll let you get to the next caller.
All right. Take care. Very nice. Joe in Florida wants to talk about the word homophobic. Very interesting point. The first time I heard it, I was probably in high school. Man. And what's up, Joe?
Hey, yeah, I'm just so curious, right? Because there was a lot of homo talk in the news earlier.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't phobia supposed to be like the suffix of a word to be afraid of or the fear of something?
Yes, it is.
Ordinary. So because we disagree with their lifestyle, somehow we got imposed that we're afraid of it.
Right. Yep. It is.
Do you see what I'm talking about?
It's just like the word racism. They're pretending that they can read your mind and read your heart, and they're pretending that the problem is with you. There's something wrong with you for seeing something wrong with them.
Well,
Very true.
I mean, I don't want to talk for all straight people, but I seriously doubt there's anybody who's afraid of a homo.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
some people are put off by it, and they're like disgusted by it.
That doesn't mean that they're afraid of it. They're just disagreeing with the lifestyle, you know, and somehow because we accept that word, you know, I called a week or two ago about that word Latinx, and this is kind of like what I'm talking about. Although homophobic has been around a lot longer or whatever, it just got accepted as if somebody's afraid of gay people. There's nobody afraid of you. We're just rejecting the lifestyle.
Yeah.
But somehow it's just imposed on us, and now we accept it as for the word that it is. And it's just mind-boggling to me that it keeps getting used, and I get it, but it's just not what's happening. There's nobody afraid of gay people.
Yeah, that's true, except for the people who should be afraid, who, like, children should stay away from them, you know, especially the ones who are trying to impose their mess on the kids and regain their innocence and have ulterior motives and stuff like that.
I just thought it was very interesting how it's such an accepted word, but when you extrapolate it, it's saying that you are afraid of, no, nobody's afraid of you guys.
And yet you have people who pretend like they're objective journalists, so-called, or reporters, using these phrases without any sense of considering what it actually means. They're liars. It shows you that these are not to be trusted, these people.
And even those of us who know better, there's such a normalcy to that word that we accept it in a normal kind of way.
Yeah, I know. Because it's so common. It's kind of like I heard, what's that guy? There was a guy who, you know how a lot of whites who are pro-white, they're being called Nazis. And I heard Christopher Cantwell. Well, some people question where Christopher Cantwell is coming from, right? But Christopher Cantwell is this guy who's used to be, according to him, he used to be more libertarian. And then after the Trayvon Martin madness, you know, lionizing a thug, he became more radical. And so he wasn't radicalized by the online. He was radicalized by the mainstream media, just FYI. But he said, I'd love to have see a bunch of Nazis do this or that. But he didn't mean actual Nazis. But he's starting to use that buzzword, which is being used against whites. I literally heard him say that on that Vice documentary so many years back after the Charlottesville thing. He used the word Nazis.
It just seems like a really lazy way to paint a broad label so that there doesn't have to be thinking that goes deeper into that.
Yeah. It's kind of like the people that say pro-choice. No, you're pro-abortion. You're pro-killing the baby. But they use euphemisms to hide what it really is. It's a pejorative.
And also, before I let you go, I just wanted to extend an invitation to Russ to come out to the men conference in case he's worried about thinking that somebody's worried about saying something to his face. You know, I'm no tough guy. I'm 6'3", 240. I'm no tough guy, but we'll pound you with love right in your face if that's what you need. and if he thinks can't you imagine Russ fighting? He probably hand slaps like a woman and pulls hair or whatever. I can see it now. But you know, I don't even feel any kind of way about him because I know that he's lost or whatever, and you just pound him with love. But let him know that there's nobody worried about saying anything in his face.
Right. Appreciate it, Joe. Look forward to meeting you over there.
Yeah, man. I can't wait, buddy.
All right. Take care.
All right. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye. Yeah, the men's conference. 11th annual men's conference. And it's nice that we took it's not nice, but it's kind of nice that we took a year off so that the 11th can fall on 2021. Because the first men's conference, I believe, was 2009 or something like that, or maybe, I want to say 2009, but maybe 2010. And so, it must have been 2010 then. I don't know. But anyway, the 11th annual men's conference, the 10th annual was in 2019. We had Owen Benjamin, we had Destiny, we had that guy, Brandon Tatum, and that one guy who's from PragerU, young guy, good-looking guy, and some others. It was fun. It was cool. Oh, and we had one of those other black guys, maybe another former cop. Yeah, Will Witt. It was great. And it's going to be even better. Orlando, Florida. Make sure you join us if you are a man or a male, a real one. rebuildingtheman.com or jesseleepeterson.com. And it'll be fun to meet you guys. Guys only. The next day, church with Jesse Lee Peterson. I believe it will be 10 Eastern, which means 7 Pacific. So if you guys stay out here, you have to get up at 7 in the morning to watch church live and join us in the live chat. 7 Pacific, because we're going to be doing it at 10 in the morning out there, and that's the plan anyway. We'll keep you up to date on it. Oh, the next day, yeah, Kelvin J. Thank you, Big Bump. Kelvin J. was the other black guy who was there on stage. It was fun men's conference. That was great to meet you guys. There were people from way over in Scandinavia who came out to the men's conference in 2019. Jib Jab says, not coming this year. All right, man. We'll catch you another time. It was nice to meet you a few years ago, I want to say. Anyway. Yeah, look at this Space Force guy who was fired. I have a picture of him and a little headline from the Epoch Times. Speaking of this ridiculousness, punished for being pro-American in the government. I read about this in Hake News, end of hour 2 of the Jesse Lee Peterson show today. A Space Force commanding officer was relieved of his command for basically for denouncing Marxism, which is communism, which is anti-American, and I'll explain why. But look at this guy. His name is Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Lohmeyer, former instructor and fighter pilot. And he wrote a book. The book was called Irresistible Revolution. Irresistible Revolution, Marxism's Goal of Conquest and the Unmaking of the American Military. Young man, sounding the alarm, pro-America, and he appeared on a podcast called Information Operation. He criticized Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, whom the Senate, the disgraceful rhinos and Democrats in the Senate, voted to make an exception for Lloyd Austin, the black guy, who was pretty much fresh out of the military. You're supposed to be 7 years removed from the military so that you don't have a conflict of interest with other people who are still in there. But he's the Secretary of Defense. They made a special exception, right? And he's black. That's partly why they made the special exception. Chosen by Sleepy Biden, or the Sleepy Biden's handlers, you know, Sleepy Joe. And Austin, right after he was confirmed by the Senate to their disgrace, Austin ordered a stand down to deal with so-called extremism in the ranks of the military after the January 6th Capitol breach, which was a mostly peaceful protest. How many people showed up to the Capitol? 100,000 maybe? Or maybe many tens of thousands, right? And then how many were arrested? 300 or 500, 400? That's a tiny, tiny percent, as Joe from Phoenix might say. Just tiny, tiny percent of the people turned violent. Mostly peaceful protest. Fact. And some of the guys went a little wild. Not one non-Trump supporter was hurt. Well, I guess there might have been a few cops who were liberals, right? It's the Capitol Police. But they didn't get killed. No non-Trump supporter got killed. Only Trump supporters died, including Officer Sicknick. May he rest in peace. What a shame. Brian Sicknick. And it's not even proven that, who knows why? Who knows why he died? Crazy. 40-something years old. But this guy was like the nicest guy, Lohmeyer. This Matthew Lohmeyer, author of Irresistible Revolution, Marxism's Goal of Conquest and the Unmaking of the American Military. He's warning about this stuff being divisive. And so he was relieved because he lost trust and confidence in his ability to lead. That's what they lost. Constitutionally, he used political activity, prohibited partisan political activity. Or that's the investigation. They're investigating this guy right now. Because look at what he said. Well, we don't know exactly why, because they don't tell you why. But this is one thing that he said about Lloyd Austin. I don't demonize the man, but I want to make it clear to both him and every service member that this agenda will divide us. It will not unify us. And that's what he's talking about with the military. Austin is promoting diversity, inclusion, and equity, which those are not unifying. Those are rooted in critical race theory, which is rooted in Marxism, which I say is communism. It's all about smearing whites, casting blacks as victims, smearing America and Western civilization in general as oppressive. So it's basically saying America is not a valid country because you're founded on slavery and genocide, and that is racist. You hate blacks and American Indians. Lies. And you see people calling in to the show all the time. That didn't used to be the line, this slavery and genocide thing. This only came about relatively recently. There were some people pushing that mess. Some communists, deceivers. But they're not based in reality. What a mess. What's really to say about the Israel-Palestine thing? Somebody commented, wanted me to talk about it. What's really to say? They're fighting over there. When are they not? When are they not? Is Hake a brave dude? Can he take a stance? Says A. Owens. What stance do you want me to take? They're fighting over there. Shrugging my shoulders. I know that we helped them build the Iron Dome. I think that the Obama administration helped them. But anyway, if you have an opinion on this Israel-Palestine thing, call on in on it. Call on in on it. But I just don't have a big opinion on it. I know that Biden is not the leader to bring peace into the world. Men are, and Biden is no man. Trump was a man, and he helped bring peace. He helped bring strength, and that's peace. Right on. Right on. But there's, you hear about these states condemning this critical race theory curriculum stuff and saying, no, you can't use it. And they're also banning the use of the New York Times' debunked 1619 project. The 1619 project, which says, oh, that's when the real founding of America was, which is not even true. Not even true. White House press secretary, though, Jen Psaki, recently defended both the 1619 project, and then we will get to your calls. Hang tight, guys. Recently defended the 1619 project and critical race theory. She's all, oh, she defended it. It's ridiculous. But Lohmeyer said if you're a conservative in the military, you're lumped in and labeled extremists if you're vocal. But if you're far left, then it's okay to be an activist online because no one's going to hold you accountable. And the far left activists are running the place. What a shame. What a shame. Terrible. Ridiculous. And you know what else? There is, speaking of why we lose, here in the States, Elise Stefanik is talking tough. She is now the third place woman in charge of the GOP. Elise Stefanik, GOP chair Elise Stefanik, the Justice Department is trying to block the Maricopa audit. And like I said, I don't really have high hopes in the Maricopa County to bring anything about because most of these people don't have any strength. And this woman is not really taking a strong stand, but she appeared on the Sunday shows claiming that the Justice Department, and they're evil, the Justice Department is trying to intimidate Maricopa County and the state senate over there, trying to get to the bottom of what really happened in the 2020 election. She's a Republican from New York, Elise Stefanik, and she said that the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division, Pamela Karlan of the Civil Rights Division in the Justice Department, said that the proposed work of the audit raises concerns regarding potential intimidation of voters. To double check the vote? I don't think so. And so she says it's unconstitutional from her perspective. That's Elise Stefanik. The Biden Department of Justice is trying to block the audit. Is unconstitutional from my perspective. That's lame. And she said the states write election law, right? Because they have the power over it. But it seems like it's a little too late. Too little too late to be auditing the 2020 thing. But I'm glad they're doing it. But who's the leader of the Arizona State Senate? Karen Fan, a woman, another woman. Bunch of women trying to hold people accountable with the election. Give me a break. It's not going to happen. What a shame. Anthony in Brooklyn, New York, wants to talk about this Israel-Palestine thing. Anthony, how are you doing?
Hey, James. How's everything?
Going well. How are you?
Same here. Well, I'm not sure if you remember I called you before.
You're the Syrian?
Christian.
You're Syrian?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Syrian Christian. And this whole Palestinian-Israeli conflict, it's so simple. It's going to always happen. The one thing that the Muslims and the Jews have in common is that they both are religious and don't believe in Christ. That's why they're always going to fight, because that's the thing that they have in common. That the more religious a person is, the further away they are from the Holy Spirit, even though they both live on the Holy Land. So how ironic is that?
Yeah.
And the Christians are the ones stuck in the middle, just getting hit from both sides. But really the whole mess is just religion, because even though, Jesse and says that Christianity is the greatest religion, and I agree to that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's all wordings, because I don't believe Christianity even is a religion. It's a relationship with God. So
I think it's the only real religion.
Yeah, it's the only real religion, but in reality, the real R word is not religion, it's relationship.
No, I think it's religion. I don't like that relationship thing.
Islam and Judaism are both very worldly, powerful religions.
Yeah.
But there's no faith.
But they're false religions. They're not real religions.
They're worldly, yeah, so you can say they're false because the world is false. So you're right about that. Christianity is a spiritual religion, which makes it the true religion. So yeah, you're right. But it's just they both have the same thing in common, which is they don't believe in Christ. That's why they're always going to fight. It's never going to stop.
And then we have women in charge right now. Biden is a woman.
Oh, he's a beta to the max.
Yeah.
And that's why if Trump was leading right now, the whole Middle Eastern situation would be much better than it is right now.
Yeah.
But so hopefully the best happens. And
yeah, I heard. I mean, I saw some headline that the U.S. is ready to work with them. I mean, the United Nations is calling on an immediate ceasefire. Ooh, give me a break. That's not gonna.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be for. Anyway, it's not gonna bring peace. The United Nations is never for what's right. By the way, but the United States is ready to help Israel and Palestinians if they seek a ceasefire. So says Linda Thomas Greenfield, who is an ambassador to the United Nations, who's a black woman. Give me a break.
Well, everything they say is the opposite, because the UN is
they are enemies of America.
They're the ones causing the problems. Yeah, exactly. And the real Americans, they know what's happening. They're starting to wake up.
Yeah.
All we can do is talk and do what's good for ourselves. But all these wars and everything that's happening, it's just, don't let it distract us from what's from the truth, because these people are always going to fight. And not only that, they're trying to spread it too across.
But
to America.
But people can be contained if we have men in charge, like Trump.
That's true.
That we didn't have this type of madness going on to this level. People were all scared that, because Trump bombed Syria and he bombed Iran a little bit, and then we got bombed back, and some of the guys had headaches and alleged brain damage. But for the most part, it was peace. And he was bringing all these peace accords and all that stuff.
Exactly.
People criticize him for being all pro-Israel. But whatever the case,
no matter what he does, they'll criticize.
We didn't have
him.
wars.
Exactly. He's the only president where we didn't have wars.
Yeah.
So that's the irony of that, you know. People think he's so dictator. A dictator wouldn't even let them.
They thought he was a loose cannon, but they're the ones who are loose cannons. They're evil.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This life, the truth is backwards, and the lies it seems like the truth.
Yeah.
To the masses. So you know.
Yeah.
All we can do is speak the truth. But one more thing, like the wars that the world like the war in Syria that happened, that was the first time in history that the entire world invaded one country and they lost. The world lost.
Really?
Yeah, because
didn't they accuse, without real convincing evidence, they accused the leader Assad of gassing certain people?
Why would the leader gas his own people when he's already winning the war?
I don't know. Yeah.
Second of all, they
seem like propaganda to me.
All I'm going to say is there's one really big culprit in this whole thing, and their country is right next to Syria, and they're the ones who have been behind all of the Holocaust, the Jewish Holocaust, the Christian Holocaust, the Armenian, all of them. And I'm not going to say which country it is, but you know.
I don't know. I think it's good versus evil. I don't think it's even. It's not limited to any one country.
It is good versus evil, but there's certain people working with the evil, and there's certain working with the good, and the ones that are working with the evil, they're trying to destroy the followers of Christ, and you know that's why this is happening in the Middle East, because
all right,
you know there's that's how it is, but you know. How can we talk?
Well, I appreciate it, Anthony. It's good to hear from you.
It was nice talking to you.
Yeah, you as well. Take care.
Have a nice day.
You as well. So, quickly, guys, we have 7 minutes to go. I want to cover this story from, what was this? This white supremacist Jeopardy fake scare. This was covered by the New York Slimes, the failing New York Slimes, and they don't ask the most pertinent question. This is written by Ben Smith. It came out on Sunday. The failing New York Slimes, stupid anti-white suckers. Well, they write about stupid anti-white suckers, but they themselves are also anti-white suckers. The headline reads, "I'll take white supremacist hand gesture for $1,000. And they're talking about how hundreds of Jeopardy contestants, past contestants. That's how there are hundreds, right? Because normally there's only, 3 or 4 contestants in a single game. Talked themselves into a baseless conspiracy theory and won't be talked out of it. And it's not even a conspiracy theory. It's just a lie. A recent Jeopardy episode, a man named Kelly Donahue made a gesture that set off a firestorm. And Jeopardy airs on, I guess, ABC. It's written by Ben Smith, once again. And so this guy showed 3 fingers, his pinky, his ring finger, and his middle finger. And so when you show those 3 fingers, you're automatically kind of making an okay sign. Right? This thing is the okay sign. And that's supposed to mean, when you make an okay sign, that's the 3 fingers, and then your thumb and index finger, pointer, whatever it's called, are together, and that the 3 fingers up make a W, and the I guess your hand and this thing make a P. White power. That's the pretense. That was a made-up thing pushed by 4chan, and it was documented by the far-left enemies of America and white people and honestly Jews, the ADL, Anti-Defamation League. They debunked it. They said, no, this was made by 4chan to troll people into thinking, oh, this is a white power symbol. But then it became popular amongst Trump supporters. I think Trump used to do this thing a little bit. He used to make the okay sign. A whole bunch of politicians are seen doing the okay sign. It's a very universal okay symbol. Or just a stressor symbol. But this guy just showed his, like this. And there's another picture showing him holding up 1 finger, holding up 2 fingers, and then holding up 3 fingers. Look at this. That's because he won 1, 2, and 3 times. That's his 3rd victory. He's all smiling. His red tie. And he's a white man, I guess. Donahue. And so this private Facebook group saw this. Former contestants. One guy wrote, based on the evidence we've seen being bandied about elsewhere, there's a real possibility he was giving either a white power or a 3%er hand gesture. And so what if he were? But he's not. But the deeper point is, so what if he were? Is he allowed to be white? Anyway, he said, this was a 3, no more, no less. That's what he said. Dumb lynch mob. 50 viewers were tweeting about it, talking about Ku Klux Klan, QAnon. The anti-Q people are as dumb and I'm saying the word dumb, nutty as the Q people. FYI. Some people call it gang signs. Gang signs, people use it on the red carpet. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Get you killed. Doom Jesus makes the point. They also say it's 666. Yeah, that's true too. Oh yeah, the OK sign. That's a Illuminati 666 symbol too, because 666. Wait, clip that. But anyway, Jeopardy contestants were going after him. 595, hundreds of former contestants signed this letter asking why Jeopardy didn't edit out that moment and saying, we cannot stand up for hate. We cannot stand next to hate. We cannot stand on stage with something that looks like hate. Stupid. They're the ones full of hatred. By the way, like Donahue, this guy Donahue, this contestant, Jeopardy is a TV talk show, by the way, if you're not familiar. I think most of you are familiar. A TV talk show where you memorize a bunch of facts, or you know a lot. You know a lot of facts. And so, by the way, the extreme left anti-American so-called fact-checking website Snopes debunked this whole thing too. Even Snopes, which hates America and white people. They got less attention, said, no, Jeopardy champ Kelly Donahue did not make the white power hand gesture. But they don't care. They want him to make a second statement and say that he also rejects and condemns white supremacy. Why? Why? It's anti-white. Duh. We all know that. And many members of this private Facebook group saw these people being unhinged, but they stayed quiet. When good people do say nothing, right? They stayed quiet. This guy, Sean Buell, who was a 2020 contestant, he stayed silent because he assumed he would be shouted down. Cowardice? I suppose so. He initially considered membership in that Facebook group an honor, but then he learned to stay quiet in January after another silly incident. People went nuts. Crazy, huh? Really crazy. He said there wasn't a hidden agenda or any malice behind it, except to gloat that he won 3. It's ridiculous. So the mastery of facts and trivia and high IQ, supposedly high IQ, is no guard against falling for dumb stuff when you're, and prejudice against innocent people and especially against white people when you're brainwashed. What if he were for whites? That's not hate. They're the haters. Hate blinds you. They're blind. Anyway, guys, I'll have to share with you the passage tomorrow that I came across because I want to give it a fair explanation, this passage that I want to cover. It's from Romans again. Very nice passage. A biblical basis for a lot of stuff that JLP says, that some of you guys say, oh, Jesse doesn't care about the Bible. But most of the stuff that he says is totally biblical, if not all of it. Anyway, guys, that's that. This has been the Hake Report, thehakereport.com for my stuff. JesseLeePeterson.com for Jesse's stuff. That's how you can sign up for the men's conference. And also from there, you can find hotel info as well. And if you're a lady, you want to come to the church the next morning, you can do it. Thanks, guys, and take care.